All right, so how do you choose the games that you program?
Well, they all have specific reasons. So I mean, I can just go through all of them, and it's not that this isn't that many, but the first one I would say, the first game I ever programmed and released was Conquest of Mars, and that was actually done. I don't know. It's actually a 8-bit version of Caverns of Mars.
Okay.
And that was actually done with Legacy Engineering, who was the group with Kurt Lindell that made the Flashback 2, which is widely known as probably the best iteration of the Flashback. At least to me, it is, because it was actually like an Atari on a chip kind of thing. Anyway, they had made Caverns of Mars for that because they had the license. They thought they did. And to me, I didn't like it at all. I thought it was very, very shoddily programmed. It wasn't that fun. So I approached him and said, hey, because he had mentioned something about on the Atari Age forums that, hey, it'd be nice if we could get these things fixed, like Yars Return and Lunar Lander and all these. So I reached out to him and said, hey, it's a great opportunity for me. This is like a dream come true for me, working for Atari. So I just reached out to him, and so I actually did a prototype, and he was impressed with it, and it was going to be on a revision of the Flashback 2, but his contract fell through with Atari, so the rest is history. So at that point, we just re-released it. So that's why that one, specifically one was chosen. I loved Caverns of Mars growing up, so it was easy for me. Like, I'd played it a billion times, so this was like, I'd say easy. It was an easy choice. Yeah, so that was it. Ladybug was my next game. That was my mom's favorite game. She loved it. Again, we didn't have a ColecoVision growing up, but for a week in whatever, 83, 84, one of my friends let us borrow it. My mom stayed up all night playing it. She just loved it. She loved that. She loved Pac-Man too. So she just loved Maze Game. So and she just made an off-the-cuff comment at some point. I go, hey, how come we can't play this on Atari? I said, well, they don't make it for Atari, but they're going to make it for Atari because they announced it. Of course, they never did. So anyway, Ladybug's always been one of my favorites anyway. So I did that in your memory. So that was good. And then I took a bunch of time off, and then we came out with Scramble. Scramble was basically going to be about in 2015. We released a collector's edition of Ladybug, which is basically, it's basically my way to get back into it. Al had approached me, Al from Atari Age, and said, hey, can we re-release this? A lot of people were clamoring for Ladybug in ColecoVision packaging since it had been announced by Coleco but never released. So I said, yeah, sure, I'll change the startup graphics, we'll put in a Coleco copyright. Nathan Strum put together a wonderful box, and that's what we released. And we also did a reprint of the actual catalog that was included in Coleco's games that advertised Ladybug just as like a collector's item. Of course, right next to it was what was it called? Cosmic Avenger, which they also never released. But they announced. So Nathan and I were just messing around. We just said, hey, let's see if we can get Cosmic Avenger going. So because I was kind of inspired then, so we threw together a quick demo, and it looked actually pretty good. And then I said, well, I don't really know Cosmic Avenger. Let's do a side scroll that I'm more comfortable with. The first thing that came to mind was Scramble, which is one of my all-time favorites. It's a game I remember playing a million times. So that's kind of how Scramble came about. And Super Cobra was basically just using the same engine, but even though it was like a year more of development, it seemed like a natural progression from that. So, and then Mappy, I don't even know how Mappy got chosen, but it was just like a game I played, and I didn't even play it back in the day, but it was one of my favorites that I played in the 90s. I played on like the Namco collection on the PlayStation, believe it or not. I'm like, hey, this game's pretty cool. I actually got pretty good at it, and there've been some discussions over the years from other programmers saying how to do Mappy. So once the technology caught up with us as far as like the extra ROM and RAM and all the stuff you need to make these games, that's when I gave it a shot, and I think it came out pretty good. So.
Oh, it did. I love it. I mean, yeah, I couldn't believe it. Just I loved the game as a kid, and I just thought it was sad that the only time it was ever ported was to the Famicom. So I mean, great job. It's wow. I can't say enough good things about it.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, that was that was a lot of fun to do. It was, and that was another thing. It was just good to do a game. I wasn't, I was familiar with it. It was like a completely different kind of game. So, yeah, we had a great time with that. And that was the first one we used like DBC music with it. So I worked with my cause. And Daryl Spice helped with the driver. So it was all new technology, which is also kind of cool. I know some people, not that they look down on it, but people purists like to have games that could have only been made back in the day. And I've done that. I've done Ladybug is a 16K game that could have feasibly been made in 1985. With if people had time.
Right.
Same with Caverns or Conquest, Caverns of Mars. That's just a standard 16K game. It's not using any additional stuff. And then, but after 10 years taking a break and coming back, and Daryl introducing me to all these new new technology, which basically just allows you to make better games. That's all it is. So I said, hey, who wouldn't want to do that? It's just like PC programming. Once CGA, EGA and VGA graphics come out and Sound Blaster support, people weren't saying, well, you should really make 4-color cyan magenta game with the PC speaker because that's a classic PC game. It's like back then it's like they came out with a game that used the best technology. You were blown away. Like I think of Wing Commander and games like that from the '80s, or the King's Quest series. Like just being blown away. It's like this is why people. It's a little bit different because PCs are evolving hardware, but that's kind of my driving force there. So anyway, so it was Mappy was just a wonderful project as far as exploiting and using that new technology because it had so much in it. It had the graphics, it had the music, it had all those really cool features that people would look at it and say, "Wow, I can't believe there's a 2600 game." But regardless of what kind of hardware is behind it, the bottom line is that you can tell a 2600 game. I play MAME on. I play a Mappy on MAME, and I actually prefer the 2600 version because, not because I made it, but it's just because I think you know what I mean. It's 2600 versions of the games have their own appeal to them. They have that, that 2600 feel to them, whether it's there's no lag, there's no, whatever, you get what you get, and that's, they just feel different when you play them. So, so I enjoyed that. So, and then Wizard of War was just a game. I have, fond memories of playing that with my brother Mike over a couple of winter breaks back when we were kids, and just one of those games for the 800 that we loved. And I'd started it a long time ago. Actually, I originally started it before Ladybug, and I ended up using the Maze code for Ladybug. And then I restarted in 2007, took how many years off, and then said, well, it's one I want to finish. And again, that had its own features to it as well. Like we're introducing some new. It's going to be using the Atari Vox for voice, which is it's cutting edge. You don't see too many Atari games that have that much speech in them. We're talking like 80 phrases, and it's not just the wizard just yapping either. It's context sensitive. Where I'll say certain things based on what's happening, as opposed to just just rattling off random phrases. So that was a fun project integrating that, and also to be able to use the Atari Vox as a 2-player game. We're working with Nathan Tolbert. My brother's actually got involved as well to bring a multi-port adapter, which allows you to basically plug 2 to 4 joysticks. We're still trying to work in the design. We're trying to get 4 plugged into one joystick port, and we're hoping that something like that will open the door for other developers as well to make a cool 4-player game, 2 to 4-player game with and be able to use the Atari Vox and save key for whatever that may be. So so that was that, and then Zookeeper. I honestly don't even know why I chose that one. I like the game. It's one of those games I discovered on MAME, and
me too.
It's one I go back to a lot, and again, I think it was challenging, and I was actually inspired, believe it or not, when I was making the Mappy logo. I was working with Tom Yentz, TJ. He's one of the great homebrew developers from back in the day, and he's actually working on Aardvark as it is right now. With
Right. I just did an interview with him. It's up now. That was my last interview.
Yeah, exactly. So so you knew all about him. So he's always been involved in my games as well, mostly from a technical consultant part, where he'll come in and help me find some room, or space if I need more space specifically, or if there's like something very complicated as far as like a kernel or something like that, where we're trying to come up with a certain way to do something. He'll step in. He also provided to me, once we did Scramble was a 32K game. Then we wanted to do Super Cobra. Super Cobra has twice as many levels as Scramble. It's much more complicated. It has many more enemies. So when I did the math up front, we got to come up with some kind of compression algorithm if we're going to do any of this. And Tom presented me with one, and I was able to implement that. So he's always been very helpful with things like that. So anyway, when we were working on the Mappy logo originally, not that I was lazy, but I was working on the game, and I just threw up a standard rainbow, horizontal rainbow color mapping. That's the one that was being used or displayed for almost a year. And then as we came to the end, I went, well, I really want to try to get in the one where all the letters are different colors. So I came up with a design which actually had all 5 of them, and then Tom worked with me to make it it flickered less. His kernel was amazing, so he came out, he basically took what I had and basically brought it to the next level, which was perfect. But one of the things he did, we were trying to make the M a little bit bigger, and since they were drawing half the M on one frame and one on the other, I noticed this line in the middle. And immediately I thought, that would be a cool effect to use the Zookeeper for the bricks. So after I got back from PRGE, and we debuted Nappy and stuff like that, I came home and I wrote up a quick proof of concept that had all the bricks displayed, which I don't know if you've seen the picture on Facebook or on Atari Age, but basically it looks like people didn't think it was possible. So that was kind of a cool. That's one of the driving things. That's what I'm trying to get at here, is that when it's something that is a technical achievement, or something where you're doing something that people didn't think was possible, is always a good motivator as well. As long as the game is fun, I'm not going to go there and try to do some game that I hate just to prove that it can be done. It's like I would never do that. But the Zookeeper is I think it's a fantastic game. I could play it. It's one of those one more game kind of things, and I think that's what Atari needs. And again, that was another one that Atari announced way back in the day. It was never released. So it's something that we hope to bring to the system finally. And we actually have permission to use the original sounds that were done by Rob Kudla, I believe. I may not say that. It wasn't Kudla. Who am I talking about? No, Rob Kudla. He's some guy that did a homebrew way back when.
Okay.
It's Rob Vieira, I believe. Anyway, he did the sounds for it back then, and Tom TJ was able to put those into a binary so we could actually hear them being played. So I'll be incorporating those original sounds, maybe tweaking them a little bit, but it's going to be a pretty cool project, so we're looking forward to bringing that together. So
okay. So how about, what are some of the future plans then, and some of the games you haven't mentioned yet, that are coming up?
Okay, well, as it turns out, the last week I've been working on a Avalanche. I don't know if you've ever heard of that one. That's basically an Atari game released in the late 70s. It's basically Kaboom. I'm not going to say it's a rip-off, because Kaboom actually ripped Avalanche off. So it's a standard the PAL game where rocks are falling, you're trying to catch them, and they go faster, and it's basically Kaboom. But the legend has it, and this may or may not be a true story, but that whoever did Kaboom, originally they wanted to do Avalanche, decided it couldn't be done, or maybe there's licensing, or maybe they were going to do it for Atari at some point. Anyway, Kaboom was inspired by Avalanche, so I'd say about 12 years ago, I spent a week putting together. I wanted to learn how to do the paddles, and I was working with Kurt Lindell again for Atari, and we were thinking of there may be a flashback coming out, so I'm thinking, let me spend some time with another Atari property and see if I can get a game going that maybe this could be included. None of these games ever got included, so.
Right.
But anyway, so I spent a week putting together Avalanche, and anyway, it's a 4K game. You know, just basic game, but that's something I picked up in the last week, and we're looking to finish that. Actually, I'm about 99% done of it now, and
okay.
work with Al over at Atari Age, so we hope to get that released this year as well. So as far as plans this year, you know, we have Avalanche, which will be released fairly soon. We'll probably be holding some sort of label and manual contest. Then Zookeeper, we're hoping to have done for the Portland Gaming Expo in October. Certainly Wizard of War was already about 95% done, so hoping to get that released in June. So so we have that's kind of what our release schedule is. As far as new games after that, you know, we have a lot of ideas that we want, and you know, a lot of requests too. Working with Mike Haas, he's actually put together a few. He's a guy that does sounds for me. He's put together a couple pretty cool proof of concepts for Food Fight and for Satan's Hollow. So it may end up doing. You know, we're talking about at least finishing Satan's Hollow. I know 7800 is actually available for the 7800. That's like one of its flagship games. It's done very well. But Satan's Hollow would be cool. I've never done a shooter like that, you know, like a straight shoot 'em up. So that'll be a challenge. So that may be something we work on. I started Rip-Off. That was a Cinematronics game that I had started back in 2007. I got like a proof of concept going and kind of put on the shelf as well. That's something we're talking about finishing as well. So that'd be nice. I also have a working prototype of elevator action. It's actually using bus technology, which is like the latest and greatest technology that allows you to do even more, believe it or not, than what you can do in Nappy. So I posted some screenshots of that, and James at Zero Page Homebrew actually had on one of the shows, so you can see how it runs. But that looks pretty impressive, and I've fond memories. I don't say this a lot, but you know, just relevant fond memories playing some of these games. But that was at like a local soda shop back where I grew up. I remember stopping home from school almost every day to play it. So it was that'd be a fun one to make as well. So those are, you know, that's a lot of ports there. So you know, people are always asking for ports. But you know, I would like to try to get something going original, like Mountain Raider. It's still something every so often I jot down a few ideas, so that would be nice to get that completed. Finally, I don't know if people would be ready to accept an original idea from me, but you know, it'd be fun to do anyway. So I'd love to get into sports games. You know, I'm half thinking I probably should just do this, just post on Atari Age or Facebook, you know, my Champ Games Facebook page or something. Just get a poll and see what people say. You know, maybe I'm underestimating the community. Maybe a series of Champ Sports games, you know, with save key support and you know, being able to choose your own teams, and you know, I love sports games. Those are the ones I loved in the '80s, or Weaver baseball, or you know, those kind of games. Face-off hockey. You know, there was just a bunch of great games that I loved to play, and to do something like that on the Atari scale would be I think it'd be a lot of fun. So yeah, so there's you know, I have a full-time job, so these are just all little things that I talk about, and but it's a great distraction. So I'm not saying it's a distraction, but it's just something that's you know, it's something I always wanted to do. So this is it's kind of a dream come true, being able to do this, and nothing's more pleasing than to hear, you know, feedback from people saying how much they enjoyed the games, or you know, the support they show. So that's it's a good give and take for sure. So.
Oh yeah. So in closing, any message for the fans?
No, just a big thank you. Actually, just thank you for everyone that you know, supported us through the years. You know, and we took a little bit of time off there back in you know, 8 or 9 years, but you know, we've come back, and I'm going to say, you know, the feedback and the support we get on, you know, Atari Age, our Facebook page, and just people responding to what we do is very inspiring, and we look forward to bringing more games to everyone to enjoy very soon.
Okay. All right, John. Well, thank you for taking a moment of your time to speak with us, and we here only wish you the best in the future.
Okay, I appreciate it, Anthony. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode of Classic Gamer 74. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to give us a great big thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. In our next episode, we will be looking at some great Atari 2600 hacks, just in time for this year's Atari Awards. So head over to AtariAge.com, register in the forums, so that you can vote in this year's Atari Awards. Well, this has been Anthony Gamer. I want to thank you all for stopping by, and especially thanking John Champeau for taking a moment of his time. So I will see you on the next episode. Until then, have yourselves a great day. Goodbye.